Hello and welcome to this edition of the HCN debate. We are meeting after a very long time in pandemic times, which we are slowly getting out of. But we are here to discuss a subject which is going to play a very, very important part in the economy of Goa and to some people to the politics of Goa. Just before the Goa Revolution Day, the Chief Minister Pramod Sawant decided to lift the ban on recruitments, and today on June 18th in the morning, when on the day that this show is getting recorded, he said that 10,000 jobs are going to be given. The economy will be opened up. We've already got investments in the maritime cluster as a maritime cluster, and he also said that there's going to be an investment in a medical device park. The subject is interesting because at the end of the day, we need to discuss whether these kind of announcements really boost the economy or not, or are they basically a political exercise? Because if you recall that on the 24th of November 2016, the then Chief Minister Lakshmikant Parsekar had put a ban on recruitment. That was just 4 months before the then elections, where he said that I'm taking a big risk because at the end of the day, jobs give us votes. Is this another exercise of jobs giving us votes? Is this a way to go forward? Can our economy grow by political decisions like this? And what do we really need to do? And we have a technology expert here as well on how to really improve the economy and give the right kind of jobs to the right kind of people. I have a very distinguished panel with me. I have Datta Prasad Naik, ex-spokesman of the BJP. He was also a candidate in the last assembly elections. We have Milind Anvekar, who is the president of the Goa Technology Association and knows a thing or two about the subject that we are speaking of. And last but not the least, the young and dynamic Congressman Yatish Naik, who will bring a lot of political experience, legal experience, and basic grassroots level articulation into the debate. I will start with Datta Prasad Naik, known as Prasad fondly all over Goa. Prasad, you are essentially a BJP person. You've been close to the powers that be in various positions, but at the end of the day, you have your views and your personal capacity, as you said. Do tell us whether this political exercise of giving jobs, does it really work or not?
So first, let me just clarify that I'm here as Datta Prasad Naik, not representing any political organization. So my views are my personal views.
Sure.
I would welcome this decision of Honorable CM opening up the jobs, because the people are in need of jobs. The economy, the salaries, all these things, and different issue. But today, the Goans, they are in need of jobs. So I would welcome this issue. Means the statement today that he has made, that he's coming up with around 10,000 odd jobs. Probably whatever the reason is, maybe before elections and all those things, this is for the political parties to take their view on. But today, the Goans need jobs.
Okay, Prasad, we will come back to it. We'll debate it. It's an opening remark. I will not interject at this point. I will let all the speakers have their view. Milind, purely from the industry perspective, how do you view this and what is the way forward?
I think from the industry perspective, job creation is a challenge that the government poses for the industry. And that's something that industry has lived up to the expectation time and again. We have been creating a lot of jobs. I believe now we are talking about the government jobs, so the PSU jobs that are there, right? So as Datta Prasad mentioned, I think it is a positive sign to the society in the current circumstances, because many of them, we understand, have lost jobs in the last 15 months of time. And there are tough times. It's going to hit the economy as well. So in that context, yes, I would say the message that jobs are going to be available itself is a positive one. However, I would just want the government, I'm sure they would have thought through before announcing this and removing the restrictions posed earlier. I would want to have some more details about what are the kind of studies that have gone into which sectors, these employments are going to happen. How are we going to make sure that this employment will be really skilled and beneficial to that particular sector, and how in turn that sector is going to help the economy of the state prosper, right? So I think these are the various aspects we need to really look at. And at the same time, there is other aspect that the government should definitely go and look at is the existing government staff or people employed in these sectors. What are we doing to reskill them? How are you adopting the newer technologies to make sure that you make them more efficient? You are more competitive in this current world if you really want to talk about boosting the economy. So there are various aspects that I think that will play a major role rather than just making a statement that we will have jobs created. I personally feel it is a very positive statement in the current times, so I definitely welcome it, but I'm more interested in the implementation of this thought process and the factors surrounding it, what role the government has thought for each one of them to play to make sure that this is a real successful one towards the vision that the government has been talking about.
Yatish, your opening remarks. Okay. Now, without getting into deep diving into politics, because we have to steer the topic back into what we need, and you touched upon it a little bit. But Prasad, a quick reaction to what Yatish said, and then we'll delve into the path that we need to take.
Yeah, I think it's a positive step, purely because around 10,000 people will be getting jobs. We will be getting money in that. As Milin also pointed out, that the private sector, they have also been creating jobs. Now, for them to create jobs in the industrial sector, people have to consume a lot of things, and they have to buy a lot of something like TVs, refrigerators, vehicles. Like, for that, you need money in your hand. So Dr. Pramod Sawant has taken a right step. These 10,000 people will be getting a salary. The salary will be spent in the market. Now this money is going to again come back to the industrial sector, in the IT sector. They will be getting more job opportunities. They will be getting an opportunity to create jobs. So it's a chain at the end of the day. Now politically, how he looks at it, that every political party
will look at it. Okay.
Always,
now
again, another thing I would want to intervene is that we have a young chief minister, and I hope, and I am sure, that he should take it in that direction. I hope these jobs are given on merit. It's not politically biased.
Most important, correct.
And another thing is that our state, I have been told that the police recruitment, we are short of police personnel. And we have seen even during the pandemic times, the police have done a great job. And we were short of staff. And tomorrow again, if there is a terrorist attack or something like that, then we will again start realizing the importance of the police force.
Okay.
So we need to actually fill up this gap.
Okay, I'll park your point. I have a couple of thoughts on this. Number one, sure, money has to be in the hands of people. But at the end of the day, we all know how this works out. Why does the Goa Medical College have people full only from Valpoi or Satri? When I'm only taking names not to bring down anybody, but just give an example. I'm with a caveat that everybody does it. When Mr. Dhaulikar was the PWD minister, we knew from where the recruitments were coming. So at the end of the day, these jobs are actually given to people who are close to the minister of that department. We all know that even during the Congress time this used to happen. The power department used to be full of people from the adjoining Lotuli Nuve area. And jobs were given even after the model code of conduct had come into place in 2012. We remember that complete fiasco where a lot of boys from villages were suddenly recruited into the power department after the code of conduct came into, and they were all lined up outside different power offices playing cards. So we know how this is done, which is why he very rightly expressed that a hope that it should be done on merit. But that hope has been belied subsequently across political parties, across elections. Now coming to money power in the hands of people's pockets. What I feel here is that at the end of the day, you need to empower people to generate wealth. It's all about generating wealth, not necessarily only getting salaries. And how do you do that? For instance, local contracts should be given to local people in villages. They should not be centralized road contract. Even hoardings that are given to one person to basically corner the entire hoarding contract for the entire state, and then you sublet it to or sub give it to people. So what is now happening is that wealth is getting concentrated in the hands of a few people. Local people are not getting, local handicrafts and local industries are not getting promoted. So local skills need to be there. Farming has to be improved, because that's a huge sector there should be a minimum support price given. So what I'm essentially saying is that there are ways and means to generate wealth. And giving jobs alone, when the burden is huge on the state already. I do not know what the total salary bill is, but a total number of employees has gone up to over 3 lakhs plus. You're paying pensions to retired people. So every person you recruit, you're basically holding him till the end of his life, literally, with pension. So it's a recurring expense. So Milind, quick reaction to what I just said.
Yeah, I think we need to see how the world, or just take for that matter in India, how things are changing, right? Even the PSU sector for that matter. We are seeing a big reduction in the number of people they're employing. What are they going to? They're going to a model which is basically outsource plus contract, right? And I feel that is the right way to do, because all these units which have gone in that model have basically increased their output with less number of people or the direct cost that they have to bear, right? So I think that's something that we need to see. What are they supplementing it with? Automation, right? So they're outsourcing. They are basically getting contracted people, they're using technology, and they're basically growing their business, right? And this is basically what is required to think about how we will increase or boost the economy. Even in Goa, I think it is very much possible to do such thing, and we have to do it. You can create much more jobs. See what are the processes that you can outsource to local companies or other companies operating in Goa. Make it mandatory for them to recruit, right? So the burden of creating that employment is on people who are interested in that work, right? Pay that money, right? So that way I think you are able to manage things much better, make sure that local economy via the local businesses is better, as well as people are getting jobs, right? So this is one way to look at it. As Yatishbab rightly mentioned, that there are various factors that were considered initially when this thing was put in place. And that was explained, and it was probably well understood and well appreciated. Today we are not seeing that reasoning, what has changed, So we are saying that it is just giving a job to people as a part of political agenda or whatever you may call. But it is a positive thing. I say that because I don't know where the jobs are going to be created, right? If it is in the police personnel or it is in the medical areas, I think that's something that, if there is a shortfall, you really need to recruit, right? But if these are in some clerical areas, which you don't really require, then I think we need to relook at that. I would also say we have to do a proper assessment of what we have, okay? See what we can do to invest in basically they being better, because see, in industry what happens year on year, we look at our staff, we look at the bottom performing staff, we either get them out or we get them reskilled, right? So we're talking about an industry which is going to be, you'll hear a lot of job losses, lakhs of jobs being lost by end of the year. But the same industry will create double the number of those jobs, right, in different technologies or different skill areas, right? So there is this aspect also which is to be factored when you plan this entire aspect.
A quick thing to Prasad, and I'll go to Yatish. Prasad, tell me, see, you've studied Goa well, you know the grassroots well. Why do you think there's this tendency of young Goan boys and girls to look at a government job as the most prime kind of a position? My issue, it also stems from society itself. Society demands a government job. There are people who may be getting a good private job which is lucrative and tests his skills, but would go into the safe zone of a government job. Now, what do we do to handle this kind of a tendency? How do we solve this? How do we curate this properly?
In today's situation, this is the pandemic time, the only person who has got his salary is the government servant and the bank employees. As Yatish said, that he doesn't see tourism, it's going to be the worst season for tourism. So, a person who is in tourism sector or who is working in a hotel or, anything of that sort, his job is not secured today. Many people have lost jobs, as Miran also has pointed out. So every Goan, we are a small population of 15 lakhs. So everyone feels secured by, once he has a government job. You may get probably 4 times more higher salary in a private sector, but he would, still prefer a government job.
Right.
So that's one of the reasons. And secondly, again, as Yatish said, that this may be the worst season for tourism. Again, what I personally feel that once we are vaccinated, as the central government and the state government, they are both working really hard in getting all Indians vaccinated. So once we are vaccinated, I'm sure tourism will bounce back. And Goa is again going to be a major destination for everybody. Because the foreign travel, even if the foreign travel opens up, the Indians will still prefer coming to Goa as a safe destination. And then again, that issue of having more police personnel, as I rightly told you, again, Milind mentioned doctors and nurses, the GMC also needs a lot of recruitment. So again, one has to see that among these 10,000 jobs, what is the quality of jobs, like whether it's the clerical jobs or whether it is in GMC and the police. So that has to be done.
Okay. Yatish, every political party, and the Congress is no exception, this has been an absolute trend. When ministers get positions, they say, look, I will take up this portfolio, but I need to have this quota. There are arrangements made between different ministers saying that, if one particular minister needs to give employment to boys or girls from his constituency, he will call up a particular minister, his colleague, and ask him or her to accommodate. So at the end of the day, this has actually become a currency, political currency. What do we do to make jobs less of a political currency?
See, in simple words, to answer that question, I can say the job should be given only on merit. There's no two ways about it. But understand this, jobs have to be provided by the government. And when I say this, it presupposes two things. One is government employment, where you create jobs within your establishment and administration and organization and system. And the second is you stimulate the industry. You ensure that the industry thrives and creates jobs. You ensure that you give that stimulus to sectors which can provide jobs. So basically you need a policy approach. And when I say this, I'm saying this with all this, that you have to have jobs. You have to create jobs. So government now, you see, why has government failed to create jobs? Because there is no vision. In simple words, biotechnology. Now we talk of so much of organic. Why is there no well-conceived biotechnology policy of today's times to ensure that farming becomes fashionable? From minimum support price, which was an early concept, we should come to minimum profit price. Then farmers will get onto it more. Service sector. You see, you have to ensure that service sector thrives. Manufacturing sector, you need to give some Sops. Retail sector, you have to ensure that various sectors of the retail sector are taken care of. As far as IT sector is concerned, we miss the bus. But we miss the bus not to ensure that we don't climb onto it. We have to ensure that we bring this sector in full force in Goa, because it is a green industry. It is a non-polluting industry. So what is that required to finalize a good IT policy? An IT policy which precipitates result-oriented growth for the individuals, for the professionals, and for the state. So basically you need an approach which is ingrained and embedded in policy. Unfortunately, biotechnology, we don't have a policy at the moment of today's times. IT, we don't have it. As far as manufacturing, we don't have it. So it is basically off the cuff thinking. So if you ask me about political this and all that, I can only tell you that the jobs have to be given on merit. Jobs have to be created. Government cannot create jobs like the way you can ensure private sector to create. Government has to create whatever they can. But be sincere.
Okay.
But no, I also try only one aspect. Government has to become sincere. Sincere in giving jobs to the people. Sincere in ensuring an environment that breeds innovation, and with innovation.
Okay, last point. I'll just
Correct here one. We have an IT policy in place. We're just struggling to make sure that it gets implemented.
That's what I'm saying. See, that is what I'm saying. See, you have a policy, but the policy has to be of today's time.
Okay, taking off from where you left off, we are talking of all kinds of policies, IT policy, manufacturing policy. Why don't we talk about a recruitment policy? See, here we say that at the end of the day, everything has to be on merit. There has to be some kind of a template in every department by the government saying that this is how the recruitment has to be made. And how will the recruitment be made? Have a proper marks-based policy. You assess the candidate on different marks, on different skill sets, and let there be a proper algorithm to actually tell you whether this candidate is suitable or not. Essentially, there has been no effort made by any government to keep the will of the minister or the veto power of the minister out of the whole recruitment process. There has to be a policy where if you are saying on merit, then you codify it. Then you see to that there are proper marks given for different skill sets. Let there be a proper independent board assessing candidates and giving it. Why can't that be done, Prasad?
For that, first governments have to choose the MLAs on merit.
Yes.
And the ministries also have to be given on merit.
That's a fantastic point actually. Yes.
So, it's up to the governments.
Correct.
You spoke about the agriculture sector also and many other things, pharma sector, the health sector also really speaking. So first the government should give the right MLAs, and then of course the political party, whichever is in power, has to give the right.
It's a very important point. See, at the end of the day, we are talking of merit, but what Prasad has raised is very critical. Does the common man or does the job seeker want to get a job on merit?
It's a change. It's a change. No, now you cannot expect the voters that everything will be done right. And in these 6 months, the voter should just not expect at this time who is going to give me the most, and
Sure.
I'm going to vote accordingly.
Correct.
So that
Correct.
should not happen.
It's a two-way process.
So even the voter has to think of the next 5 years.
Absolutely correct.
And then I'm sure a lot of young people in Goa and a lot of young chief minister in Goa.
Yes.
So I think definitely a lot of
Because
things will happen.
most people who are aspirants of jobs are not necessarily wanting to get it on merit. They want to get it through connections, political connections. Then that's where the problem lies. Hamil.
It's we need to see the different aspects here. One, I think why people want government jobs, as you mentioned, security, but I don't think that is a valid enough reason, right? So we are having people want to do government job just because you see the reasoning. You do a survey. There are people who are aspirants and they are highly qualified compared to people who want to do job because they feel it's secure. There is no stress. it's a 9 to 6 job. So these are the reasonings, not because they really want to excel or make a difference. So I think that's one aspect of it. When you talk about no processes, there are definitely processes, right? But what happens to those processes, how they've been executed, we really don't know, right? So if you see what we end up doing today is we engage a lot of these consultants, ENYs, KPMGs, to do the review process, ease of doing business, and we spend crores of rupees on them. I think the underlying stuff that they will have to probably make up, which maybe they will not make public, is that they don't find people competent enough to implement the processes, right? Which they have also mentioned in various other meetings, forums. They mentioned that they don't find people competent to implement. So they are not willing to take blame on them. So what are we doing? Okay, like for example, we were looking at the IT company registration process for that matter, and we did work with the staff, and we have suggested how to make changes, how to make it more relevant, and something that is not really required, we got it erased. So we had good people on the other side of the table from the government side who were very accepting the suggestions and implementing it. And that way, I think what we've done is something that would take 2 years, we brought it down to 30 days, right? So I think by getting people to understand and do this change, we can make that change possible. Now, same thing can be done with the job, how the process that you're talking about. How do you get the right people and all that? We need to be clear first, whom are you getting for their jobs? Okay, why are we getting, and where do they see themselves in the long term? Like how we do in the private sector. I don't know how that really happens. And by the way, the political pressure while you're talking about, the people expect some of the MLAs to get them jobs, and it is not only in this government jobs. The references do come in the private sector as well. Yeah. So I think they basically have to oblige themselves.
Okay, last round.
Only one aspect. At the end of the day, when you talk of employment, it is how do you ensure money goes in the pocket of individuals.
That's right.
So employment means government has to have a policy approach. Employment should ensure money in the pockets of people. Consumption, demand. That is where your economic wheels start rolling, moving.
Okay.
So this is what has to be the driver.
Prasad, your last words, then I'll wind up.
As I've just mentioned, it's up to the people again. Once the people start giving good candidates a chance to, give them the opportunity of performing, then all these issues of good people coming on job on that particular post on merit,
Correct.
will actually be implemented. And again, as we all have been agreeing, money has to be given to the people.
Right.
Only once a person starts spending, then even the government will get taxes, and that is how even economically the government will be stable. So that's the only way out, as I feel. So it's a positive step that Honorable Chief Minister has taken. And again, this 10,000 jobs, let's hope that everything goes on merit, not in Sattari as it is in GMC, right from Congress time as well as our time. And probably the other
It happens in all constituencies, yes. Whether it's Panjim, Talegaon, Sattari, it's same. Okay, I will. In GMC, yes.
We need quality staff.
That's right. Correct.
Because healthcare is going to be a major.
Healthcare, power, is a very critical aspect. Okay. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for this very, very riveting discussion. I'll just sum up the points. Point number 1, jobs, yes, but jobs have to be on merit. Point number 2, we need to see what kind of jobs we are getting into. Point number 3, there needs to be a proper process of recruitment if we want to do it on merit. Most importantly, it's not about jobs, it's about putting money into the pockets of people, and for that you need to create opportunities and wealth. You cannot have wealth concentrated in the hands of 1 or 2 people. Businesses, contracts, all that has to go down to the grassroots level, and at the end of the day everybody should get spending power. And then political parties should also do a complete rethink, so should the people, because if jobs are used as currency, then Goa will not go very far. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for this discussion. We will continue to meet and take up issues concerning the people of Goa. Thank you.